Hi friends, I hope all of you are doing well and are safe. Today we're going to look into the topic advances in battery technology for electric vehicles. So we're going to have an intro first, the pros and cons of EVs. Then we're going to look into the global demand for electric vehicles. Then the current state of battery technology. We're going to also look into the exploration of upcoming battery technology on which research and development is going on, and that which could be implemented in the near future and come as a replacement to what technology we're using right now. Then we also discuss about the battery management system, which has a task of power delivery and thermal management and other few tasks. Then we'll also look at recycling and repurposing of batteries after its life cycle in EVs. Then the environmental aspects of using electric vehicles, and we'll conclude our discussion. So, since the advent of the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century, there has been a lot of stress on the environment, which has been caused due to combustion of fossil fuels, both from the industrial sector and the automotive sector. So, for our transportation needs, electric vehicles have become a viable solution as they have much smaller carbon footprint as compared to petrol and diesel powered vehicles. And they also have a few limitations, that is, they don't have enough range, they charge slower, and it has a high initial investment. And we look into more pros and cons soon. The benefits of EVs cannot be fully achieved unless we have a proper infrastructure, um, both for charging of EVs and also a source of clean and renewable energy. All these factors need to come together so that we can successfully implement the transition from fossil fuel powered vehicles to electric vehicles. And the pros and cons are a direct consequence of the technology that is used for energy storage. That is, the pros and cons of EVs are basically due to the battery technology that's being used in them. So it has no tailpipe emissions. That's cheaper fuel. That is the cost of traveling from place A to B is cheaper on an EV than a vehicle running on petrol. And you can refuel at home. That is, charge at home. It has lower maintenance cost because of lower moving parts. It has an instant torque delivery, and they are quieter to run. And some countries also have special lanes for electric vehicles, which is an added advantage. And the cons of using EVs are that it has a limited amount of range. So you can't travel on a fully charged battery as much as on a full tank of a normal petrol car. So that is a major factor. And there's also not a strong mature network for charging, uh, especially in Asian countries. The US and Europe and many countries in Europe actually have a proper respectable infrastructure for that, but even countries like China, which has a high demand for EVs, does not have a proper charging network. It has longer charging and refueling times, and it is more expensive to purchase. That puts off people from buying EVs in the first place. Uh, and we also have a much lesser choice when it comes to EVs because slow and steadily our manufacturers are releasing these vehicles, and we don't have much of an option when it comes. Now looking into the global demand for electric vehicles, in 2019, the global plug-in vehicle deliveries reached about 2,264,000 units. That is the highest so far. And by the end of 2019, the total EVs on road was about 7.5 million. And if you add commercial vehicles, and heavy commercial vehicles and buses, that adds another 700,000 units. And what is know that a lot of automotive manufacturers are rolling out electric vehicles, and 10 of them sell upwards of 80,000 EVs a year, and that has directly resulted in the increase of battery demands, which has led to about 5 companies supplying batteries for over 200,000 EVs a year. And this capacity is expected to grow over the coming years. As you can see in the graph below, the battery demand from electric cars is going to increase at a very rapid rate, and by 2040, EVs are set to make up more than half of the global passenger car sales. Now looking at the current state of technology that's there in EVs, the most widely used battery technology is lithium ion. So the reason for that is that high power storage capacity, and also has a very good energy density and energy weight ratio compared to other battery types. That is, it can store a large amount of energy in a smaller space, which is very crucial when it comes into designing electric vehicles. The major disadvantages of lithium-ion batteries is that it has higher cost. That translates directly to the cost of the EV. And lithium-ion batteries have a potential for overheating and has a limited life cycle. Lithium-ion batteries are the same batteries that are used in our mobile phones, and you notice that about after 3 or 4 years, your charge storing capacity of your phone decreases a lot. And same case with the lithium-ion batteries in an EV. But the difference is that in an EV, lithium-ion batteries are made to withstand more cycles. Because of that, EVs only require a replacement of batteries about 8 to 10 years. And the second most commonly used battery is the lead acid battery. The reason for that is because of its low cost, it's tolerant to overcharging, and it's the world's most recycled product. So it scores points for recyclability there. And the major disadvantages now, and that the reason why it's not used as the reason why it's not used now in EVs is because it's very heavy and bulky. It has potential for overheating. Charging efficiency is only 70%. Charging efficiency is the amount of power that a battery delivers divided by the amount of power that is taken to charge it completely. That is, for example, if you charge a battery 1000 milliamp hours, that means you're only getting back 700 milliamp hours. So there's a lot of energy that's being wasted there. And lead acid batteries also don't support fast charging. The next type of battery that is currently in use is nickel cadmium battery. The strong point of this battery is that it has a very high lifespan, about 1500 cycles. But the main reason it's not being used right now is because of the use of heavy metal, that is cadmium, in its manufacturing. So that is the main disadvantage of this, and has a lower energy density. And the other battery that's being used is a lithium ion polymer battery. It has a greater life cycle than the standard lithium ion battery. And in this battery, there's a lesser chance for leakage, or there's no chance for leakage, as a solid polymer electrolyte is being used. The problems with this lithium ion polymer battery is that it's not as robust and requires protection from overcharging and discharging. The next type of battery on our list is the sodium nickel chloride battery. These batteries are used in high temperature conditions and can store a large amount of energy in a small space. That is, it has high energy density. The major disadvantage or drawback is it cannot be stored for a long period of time, and the operational safety is not that good. So a main important factor of batteries used in EVs is operational safety. EVs, even lithium-ion batteries, can spontaneously catch fire if they are punctured or damaged, and since it's chemical reactions that are going on inside the cell, the fire is actually self-sustaining, so it could actually be injurious to the passengers, and safety is a major cause for concern. Now this is a table showing the technical specifications of the most popular batteries that's currently being used in EVs. So from this chart, you can see the the reason why lithium-ion batteries are actually the most favored, because they have good characteristics over all the factors that you can see here. And now we'll look at the upcoming battery technology, or the battery technology that shows promise in the future. So battery manufacturers like Panasonic, BYD, and LG Chem are investing heavily to develop battery technology which is more energy dense, more power dense, is lightweight and longer lasting than the existing battery technology in EVs. So the first one we have is the solid state battery. So the difference between solid state battery and the normal battery is that liquid electrolyte is replaced by a solid electrolyte, which allows the ions to migrate within it and is safer. They are also non-flammable when heated, unlike liquid electrolytes. And the use of solid state battery actually reduces the size of the battery for the same amount of power rating. And so solid state batteries have a major drawback. That is, it has a high failure probability after repeated charging. But research has shown that swapping out the normal lithium metal anodes for new silver carbon composites is actually mitigated this problem, and this new battery configuration can allow vehicles to travel up to 500 miles before needing to charge for about 1000 cycles. So that means it gives a total lifespan for about 500,000 miles. That's more than I think any one of us would travel in about 10 or 20 years. And developing solid state technology could lead to a drop in the price of automotive batteries from a range of $120 to $145 per kilowatt hour to less than 70 or even as low as 50. So that and as you know, the reason for the high price of EVs right now is because of the battery, the cost of the battery. So if the cost of the battery reduces by 2 or 3 times, that is actually going to threaten the price of the EV and make it more affordable for people. The next type of battery we want to look at is the lithium sulfur battery. Lithium sulfur batteries do not have host structures, unlike in lithium ion batteries where lithium ions are stored in active materials acting as host structures. The lithium sulfur batteries can actually outperform lithium ion batteries and have a lower impact on the environment as well as a lower manufacturing cost. But there is a drawback that every cycle of a lithium sulfur battery can cause the deposition of needle-like substances to form on the lithium metal. The solution for this is that an artificial layer of an organic material is formed on the lithium electrode, which protects the electrolyte from being degraded and reduces the mossy structures that trap lithium from forming during the charges. Next, we'll look into graphene batteries. All we know that graphene is a wonder material with outstanding properties, and the properties that we're looking into right now is superconductivity. Graphene batteries can potentially offer electric cars a driving range of up to 500 miles on a single charge. The batteries can also be charged to full in just a few minutes. That is, it supports super fast charging and can do so at a rate 33 times faster than a standard lithium-ion battery. So the main difference between a graphene-based battery and solid-state battery is the incorporation of graphene into any one of the electrodes, and it is either as a composite or a hybrid or as a support material. So you can see how the graphene is incorporated into lithium sulfur batteries. Graphene also helps to keep metal ions in regular order and increase their electrode efficiency. And next we're looking at sodium ion batteries. So the sodium ion batteries show promise of being more durable and cheaper to manufacture as compared to most batteries because of the use of sodium, which is the sixth most common element on the planet. And the commonly used anode material is graphite, but that cannot be used in a sodium ion battery because it does not have the capability of storing larger sodium ions in appreciable quantities. That means the energy storage won't be that much if you use graphite. So instead of that, a carbon material consisting of a non-graphite, non-crystalline and amorphous carbon structure, which is commonly called in industrial terms hard carbon, is the current preferred sodium ion anode of choice. And with that, we wind up the most promising technologies for energy storage in EVs. Next, we'll go into the battery management system. So the battery management system is the main safety guard of a battery system for electric vehicles. So this is a safety management unit. So what a battery management system does is it collects data. For example, when you're charging, the rate of charge, like the type of outlet that you're connected to. Is it a high voltage outlet? If it's a high voltage outlet, there's a tendency for the battery to heat up, and then the battery management system activates the cooling system for the batteries to keep it at steady temperatures. So it has this thermal management and electrical management units which work together so that works in the most efficient manner. The battery management system is also tasked with ensuring the power delivery to the vehicle. For example, some cars like, for example, Tesla have a special mode where it uses a lot of battery power to accelerate very fast. So that's basically what the battery management system does. It is in charge of power delivery and thermal and electrical management. And next we'll go into recycling and repurposing of batteries after their use in electric vehicles. Recycling batteries after their use is actually very important because batteries actually made from materials which are not renewable and are in scarce quantities. So to make sure that those materials are being put to the best use, recycling plays an important role. So this various steps in recycling is sorting, crushing, dismantling and separating, and this actually works vis-a-vis the repurposing plant. Thing is, when they get the battery, they sort it out into batteries which have drained a lot, and that means its charging capacity is very, very less. So if it is too less, they recycle it. Otherwise, like for example, if a battery has about 80% of its charge capacity, it's sent for repurposing. Repurposing is basically using or actually collecting all the batteries and using it for energy storage in the grid. And so that you don't have to actually manufacture separate batteries. For that, you can actually use batteries that we used in EVs for this purpose. So we have a scrap car, and then the battery is recovered at the end of the first life, and it's actually tested. So the exhausted battery is sent for recycling, and the viable battery is sent for the repurposing workshop. Its maintenance work is done and is used in the marketplace for energy storage in the grid. And these are the steps that are followed, like collection of EV models from the dealership, then assessing it, doing tests, and the same as we discussed, and then sorting it for their respective purposes. Now, looking into the environmental aspects of electric vehicles. So electric vehicles actually consume a lot of energy, but electric vehicles have an efficiency advantage compared to vehicles with conventional combustion engines, at 70% of electric energy from the grid can be used at the wheel for vehicle propulsion, whereas IC engines has an efficiency lower than 30%. So the amount of energy that you get, the amount of power that actually is used between a gasoline, diesel, and a battery electric vehicle. You can see the battery electric vehicle uses only about 200 kilowatt hours for 100 kilometers, whereas gasoline and diesel use north of 50. So that is a major advantage, that is more than 2 times the efficiency. And looking into CO2 emissions and environmental damage, actually electric vehicles have come under a lot of heat lately, because when you say that producing in the manufacturing of batteries, a lot of environmental damage is done, a lot of emissions are there. But when you look at the overall picture over the long run, when like even if the energy source that is used to run an electric vehicle is from a non-renewable source, that is from a coal-fired power plant, for example, the net emissions over a period of time would be much less than a gasoline car. So over the long run, even looking at that sense, it is an advantage. And but to get the maximum out of using electric vehicles, it is important to have a grid that is supplied by sustainable and renewable energy sources, and this also reduces the amount of CO2 emissions. So when looking at power generation, electric vehicles, as their demand increases, the need for power in the grid will also increase. So and with the latest advancements in battery technology, EVs are becoming more affordable and more efficient. To serve this additional demand, we need to set up new power plants, or the existing infrastructure has to be used to a higher capacity. And when looking at power generation, electric vehicles actually are gaining popularity, and with the latest advancements in battery technology, they're becoming more affordable and efficient. To serve this additional demand, either new plants need to be set up, or the existing infrastructure has to be used to provide a higher output. And as you can see, the development of the power plant structure in Germany, in the year 2010, the rated capacity was about 175 gigawatts, and by 2030, it's expected to reach 200 gigawatts, which is a huge chunk of that coming from renewable energy, with reduced dependence on fossil fuels like oil and natural gas. The increase in demand for EVs and power generation can potentially give rise to green energy projects to produce clean energy. And now to conclude, the most important factor in the future to make EVs more affordable is the reduce in the manufacturing cost of batteries, which actually results in the reduced cost to the end consumer. And it is expected with the current trends, research and development, that the cost for cells will decrease and the capacities for a specific cell format will increase, thus increasing the demand of EVs. Another key factor is the increasing of the charging and discharging power of the battery. Another key factor for future development is decreasing the charging times, as customers demand shorter charging times of EVs and more performance is demanded from the electric motors. So higher currents produce more heat within the cells, and so there needs to be a better thermal management system that is part of the battery management system and in the end increase the overall efficiency and safety of the vehicle. And from all this we can see how EVs are set to be the future of transportation and how it can actually bring about a better change and make our transition from fossil fuel powered vehicles uh, and relying on renewable and sustainable energy sources contributing to a greener economy. Thank you, and I hope this was beneficial to you.